Hot Rod TV, brought to you by Summit Racing Equipment, the world's speed shop, and Original Parts Group, your source for GM 8-body restoration and performance parts, and Duplicolor, the leader in paints, primers, and coatings. Exotic Auto Restoration is building a Superformance GT40. The car will debut at the birthday of the legendary Carroll Shelby. That's more than fitting. A car like the GT40 owes a lot to this icon of the automotive world, a man authorizing the building of Lance's replicas.
The relationship with Carroll Shelby is just something that's very tough to explain, and it's also another one of my dreams that have really come true. It's unbelievable to believe that I'm now distributing all the Shelby 60s style vehicles, the cars that made him famous, the cars that he raced, the most incredible, the Cobra, the GT40, the Shelby Daytona Coupe.
Carroll's an icon, an American icon that to me, I admire him and I look up to him. Indirectly, he's given me a lot. Take it from Mustangs, from everything. He created the whole thing. And now I get a chance to give something back. And that's what I'm grateful for.
Shelby's racing career put the man both behind the wheel and into the offices of management. Starting in the 1950s, he drove overseas for Aston Martin and Maserati. In 1960, Carroll returned to the U.S. But that's when a heart ailment caused him to retire after winning the USAC Championship. If he couldn't drive, he'd build cars and racing teams. Shelby came up with the Cobra. At the time, it was the fastest production car on Earth. The 427 engine Cobra was even faster, but by the time the car came along, Shelby's team was already racing Ford GT40s, winning Le Mans in both 1966 and 1967.
These are the Le Mans winning race cars, and we're keeping that history alive through him and be able to show the public what we can do here in the future.
The GT40 was a car that was without a doubt way ahead of its time, and anyone who's designed a supercar is fully aware of that fact.
If you look at all the modern supercars, they date back to the GT40, the layout, the look.
It was originally designed to be a championship race car, and it's safe to say it's a design that worked beyond the shadow of a doubt.
It's a race car. It was bred to be a race car. It was all along, it wasn't designed as a street car initially and then put on the track, even though they did have them in the UK as street cars. But all along they knew this was going to be a race car.
Given the small number of the original cars, not to mention advancements in technology, it's a great thing to have Superformance creating these replicas.
For the normal person, it's kind of impossible to buy a real GT40 because they only made 250 of them. Most of them were for racing, and about 30 of them were for street. But those originals are worth, into the millions.
Ford did offer buyers the great GT500, but the Superformance GT40 is closer to the Shelby racetrack experience. That's not to say that Ford isn't in the game when it comes to GTs. Recently, the Blue Oval created a lot of excitement with their new version of the Ford GT. It's a very cool reinvention of a true and certified supercar. Coming up, it's time to start finishing our car. This is a ride with a debut right around the corner. See it all happen when we return with more Hot Rod TV. Welcome back. You're just in time to help us button up this incredible replica of the legendary GT40. Returning to the assembly, we see that the air filter is in and the firewall is making an appearance. These are signs telling us that we are definitely in the home stretch, with only a few more tasks that need to be addressed. Next come the seats, and with all that in place, the moment for engine starting has arrived. So with a twist of the wires and a kick of a spark, we're about to hear some power, thanks to Roush.
Okay.
So how come we didn't have power?
Okay, wait, we've got no fuel pump. Get that.
Lights. Still have no fuel pump.
It's time for troubleshooting, and if any crew can find the problem, it's these guys.
We found the problem. What basically happened is the manufacturer has two power sources coming into the fuel pump for two fuel pumps, and you have to ground the fuel pump to the chassis, and basically what we had is the pump wire to both sides of it, so we didn't have a ground, so now the pump works perfectly.
Fire in the hole.
So with the engine running, it's time to mount the tires, along with a very cool way to keep them on the ride.
I'm now putting on the spinner which holds the wheel with the BF Goodrich tyre on to the axle. It's a single application. We tighten this up. Once it's on the ground, we'll give it a last tighten, and then we will lock a safety wire to the rim so it doesn't come undone.
The plan now is basically going to take it around the parking lot here, over some speed humps, let the suspension settle down, so then afterwards we can align it and button it up.
Well, after a good little tour around the region, it looks like all systems are go.
Everything went well. It's tested out fine. Suspension settled down a little bit over the speed humps. Everything feels good. Now we're just going to put the clamshells on, button it up, wait for Jim from Mothers to come in and actually do his magic on it.
Jim Holloway from Mothers gives the car an extensive and thorough polishing. And before long, this is one perfect GT40.
Okay, I think we've gotten all the imperfections out of the black, and now we're going to put some sealer glaze on with a new tool by Mothers called Powerball for Paint.
The finished car looks incredible, just in time for its debut at one very impressive venue. In the universe of automotive excellence, few events compare to the annual Grand National Roadster Show in Pomona, California. This is a place where enthusiasts from all four corners of the globe arrive to check out the very best rides the car world has to offer. Now that the GT40 is here, Lance is thrilled by the great response the car is receiving.
Well, we came out, it's just an incredible show, absolutely unbelievable cars out there. And we also wanted to show our version of a Carroll Shelby hot rod. This is just a crazy car that fits in well here.
One very impressed driver is the editor of Hot Rod magazine.
My favorite car of all time, the GT40. You know, there's some kits out there and some rollers, and nobody can afford the original one, so I've always had a secret desire to build one of my own. I came across two of them sitting right here, so I had to find out what's going on.
Rob has questions about this ride.
Now, is this car bought through Shelby? Or
Yes, through Shelby Distribution.
Okay.
It's an arm of Super Performance. And the car will come with a Shelby MSO. It'll come with a Shelby number on the car, and it is in the Shelby registry.
That means that this car is an official Shelby vehicle, certified, number and all.
So after the show, where are you going with the car?
Well, I've got a real fun trip ahead of us. We're taking it out to Las Vegas. We're going to run it on the Speedway, and we're just going to tear the hell out of it.
But first things first, Rob wants to turn over that Roush engine. And as the editor of Hot Rod magazine, this man does know great horsepower when he hears it.
Oh, that sounds evil.
Coming up, it's Carol's birthday, and we're hitting the track. All when we return with more Hot Rod TV. Exotic Auto Restoration built a Superformance GT40 in time to celebrate the birthday of that automotive legend, Carroll Shelby. At the party, the GT40 is here with many other cars that have a great deal of Shelby history. Cars that paint the picture of a lifetime on the track and in the winner's circle. The GT40 from Superformance is getting a whole lot of well-deserved attention. And Lance knows that all that hard work was worth it.
Well, we finally got it. It was quite a job, get the car all done. The 85th commemorative edition. And we've got the car here. This is one of the 3 different models that we're going to be presenting. And this was the Amos car, and we've got the Ken Miles car, and of course the Dan Gurney car.
And George, well, he's just happy to have made it on time and looking great. Still, he could use a nap.
Since you saw me yesterday, took endless hours. We didn't get much sleep. Tied it up, got it aligned, got everything running, alignment. We had a slight problem, couldn't engage gears. Finally sorted that out, and we're here. And the next step, I guess, is waiting to take it on the track and just see how it goes.
They want to drive it like the great Bob Bondurant, one of the veteran drivers who is behind the wheel of an original GT40. This must be one